17 tips to become a better player in Enshrouded. Stay tuned for that. What's up, guys? I'm Franky Boy. On this channel I am covering everything regarding open world RPGs such as Enshrouded, which is a survival RPG by Keen Games, a German studio, and I'm super happy that we from Germany finally released a nice game after Gollum. You might have seen, yeah, that was totally due. 17 tips. Let's start off with tip number 1. Tip number 1, the flame altar. The first one, especially your base flame altar, should be set properly. Why is that? Don't put it at some kind of corner or some kind of steep cliffs, etc. You need to put it somewhere to expand, because if you enhance your flame, the area will expand accordingly, and you need to keep that in mind, because for me right now it's possible to build a building until here, and yeah, you can see my altar is in that building over there, so it expanded for quite some meters. Tip number 2, the mine. You know, when you get out of the cinder vault for the first time and you turn left, there is a mine, and you can go there even after you cleared it and took everything out of the mine, because yeah, those items, they respawn, and in that mine you should totally get your hatchet. Pick up the hatchet, it's worth it, you need it, and it's an insane weapon, especially for the start. I'm gonna delete it now because I don't need it. I have a hatchet level 2 right now. But yeah, keep that in mind. There's a hatchet, and that's a nice weapon for the start. Tip number 3, not being afraid of hunger. Yep, that's what you should be. I mean, I am eating right now, but only for buffs. Simply check out your backpack and click on all of those consumables, and we'll see what they do. This is stamina recharge, insane on honey, like sweets are insane in general. We have some water. Yeah, this lasts for a long time, and it buffs endurance and stamina recharge, or like grilled game. At the start of the game, I just picked up anything and I ate it because I was used to those normal survival mechanics, but in this game you don't need to eat anything, it's just buffing you. And yeah, you should totally consider what buff food to get in order to buff a certain perk, or not to consume it and save it up for later, or for your teammates who might need it more than you, especially like intelligence buff or so. Keep that for your healers and mages. Tip number 4, this is a sandbox game, and there are many gates that you might be able to like cross right now, because it's not like the typical RPG. In normal RPGs we have level gates, etc. And here it is miasma, and you can see the red miasma. It's always too strong for me right now, but I can travel through all of those miasmas yet. And there's a gate, yeah, like just like a real gate. And you can sometimes just go around those, pick up your pickaxe and destroy some doors. That's totally possible for you. And you can even, like, I think it was right here in the hidden tomb entry right there, where I found a shield behind a door I couldn't open yet, but I just used my pickaxe, destroyed the door, and I went through it, so try that out. Tip number 5, building. Building is super important. As you can see on this mini base right here, I use stairs as my construction help. I mean, there is a possibility to construct it at your workbench, but you need, of course, to have a workbench and then craft those blocks, and then go into your building menu, enter the building mode, and then you can like use which blocks to use. Yeah. In this case with control and the mouse wheel, you can change those kind of blocks and materials. Keep that in mind, you always need those extra steps. After gathering the wood, you need to process it to a block to make use out of it. Alright, best tip in my opinion, tip number 6, the wand. It's just incredible. There are many types of wands, but I think this is just OP, especially for the start of the game. It grants light at night, and it grants you a lot of damage for free. Why is that? We have the Apprentice Wand, which isn't consuming any mana for us. It's just pure damage, and you can use it infinitely, or almost infinitely, and I will use it. Just shoot at enemies and then dash away and shoot at them and dash away. It's super awesome for the first 15 hours, perfect. But there are different kind of ones like staffs, etc. They require missiles. In this case, I'm using ice bolts, and I equipped them to me to use with the shepherd's staff. So keep that in mind. I am talking about the apprentice wand in this case, or wands in general. Super awesome for the start. Tip number 7, teleporting. And as you can see, I have this flame altar right here, and I have many flame altars around the country. They are called always home and then level. In this case, home level 3 is my main base, but I have many of those just planted around there for teleporting and exploring new areas. Especially when I go to a new area, I first try to plant a flame altar and I destroy another one, older one, to make use out of the fast travel system. You can fast travel from almost anywhere to those places, except for being in a fight or a miasma, of course. But yeah, they are super important as fast travel points. Tip number 8 in this case, miasma. Let's talk about miasma. Super important to know, there is a timer on top, and this timer is always depleting, and when it's gone you will die, and that immediately. Keep that in mind. There is worse miasma, like miasma level 3 or so, or 4 or 5, and that will kill you even faster. So the timer won't be 7 minutes like in my case, but will be just 7 minutes depleting in 7 seconds if it's too bad for you. You can check out what kind of level of miasma you can stand in the menu. Simply go to your character, go to all attributes, and then check out the passage level. I mean, it's showing a glider, that's a bug for sure, and you have the timer. So I can go through the miasma. Oh, it's called Shroud in German, in English, sorry. It's called miasma in German, right? And yeah, it's called Shroud in English. All right, so let's talk about Shroud, right? But yeah, tip number 9, exploring the miasma or the Shroud is of course worth it. Oh, that makes so much sense. It's called Enshrouded and not Miasmat. Makes sense to me. I mean, since it's a German developer, they did pretty well on translating the stuff and localizing it to the German language. It might be even a native built in German. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, explore that. It's super worth it. You get a lot of materials there. Tip number 10, and this is super important, everything respawns outside of your base. When I had this flame altar here, I had this mine, and it was regenerating each and every day or every 2 days. And this mine was again like simply grass over the hill. And once I expanded my flame altar, it didn't disappear because it's in my base now. Everything outside of your base will be replenished. This is super useful because I once made the mistake that for example, I took down this well right here, and I thought, I'm never getting water again, because I wanted to build it up in my base, and I thought this system would work like this in the first 30 minutes of the gameplay. But yeah, it reappeared after some time. So just give it time, everything out of your base will reappear, and you can take advantage of that. Later on, I have a very nice quick tip for you to get rings in a minute. Tip number 11, I talked about the wand, but now let's talk about bows. Bows are super incredibly strong. Like, they are really strong, but you need to have arrows with you, and that's the downside of it. But if you somehow manage to get a longbow, I would totally recommend using that, because it's a brutal sniper weapon. And yeah, get the huntress as soon as you can, because you can craft arrows at her. You need to know to have everything in your pockets to craft it. In this case, metal scraps, of course. And you know, no one can destroy the metal. Still not enough? Fair enough. Get the longbow. It's super awesome, dealing a ton of damage, but consuming arrows. Tip number 12, go and rescue all of those 5 NPCs as soon as you can. We have many different ones with many different perks. We have the farmer, then we have the carpenter, next up alchemist, of course, for healers and mages, the huntress, and of course the blacksmith. And yeah, you need all of those for different kind of crafting materials, etc. And you get a lot of new stuff through it, especially decorations as well. And decorations make sense in this game. You can see I have comfort level 22 right here. Now it's level 5. It's sometimes bugging because I actually split this house into 2 houses, and it sometimes doesn't know which one to consider. But yeah, it's like comfort level 22, and that's quite decent for my my time at the game. I didn't sleep enough yet. Sleeping should like increase the night speed by 60, but I think it's bugged right now. I can't see it. It's speeding up. Maybe it's morning now, yep. Tip number 13, performance killer. I had a few crashes with terraforming, so keep that in mind. Terraforming can be done through either the hammer and then go down to the terrain, and you can like craft some terrain with stone or with dirt. You can use those materials you want to, and then like make this ramp for you to use maybe that's a fun thing to do. But you can see terraforming is also, can be pretty bad, especially when you don't know where the terraforming origin is located at. I have this splinter right here, and I don't know how to remove it. To be honest with you guys, I don't know how to. There is yet another way. It's the rake. It will flatten out everything to a certain level that you set, and it will sometimes help and sometimes not. But all the crashes that I had were through terraforming, and it's quite dangerous, and sometimes I don't know why it works in a certain way, and I'm not too sure. You can build caves, which is super fun in my opinion. You can build yourself a cave and go into it. I try to dig around my house, but there's sadly no water. I found no water in the whole game except for in Wales, but no floating water to make use of, and I wanted to dig something around my base and make it a nice and safe place against monsters, etc. But so far I did never get raided, so I'm telling you that the only chance is like you're getting too close to those miasma mobs and they might hunt you. But in this case, you can simply go into your home and defend yourself, which is also possible. I think the best thing about the game is the building. You can build quite a lot of stuff in it, and it's so much fun. Alright, now we talked about performance killing terraforming. Let's talk about those rings of power. I have those rings, the sigil ring of the Elder God, 2 times, and you can get it as well. How do you get it? Just simply check out your map. Here is the Cinderwald. Here's likely your first home at the Long Keep, and then you go down to this bridge, and down here next to the bridge there is like a mob that has it with him. And this mob, like everything outside of your base, respawns, and you can always get it back. Same as like for the X that you get in the first mine right here. You can always go there, simply kill the mob again and get it. And if your mates like got this ring, you can't get it anymore for a few days at least, until it respawns the mob. Then you can just create a new game, go over there with your armor, etc., everything on, and pick it up. Simply like that, create yet another world, go there, pick the second one up, and then go back into the group play with your friends, and you have those rings with you with a nice decent amount of stat boost. I mean, come on, we have 8 stamina, 10 health 2 times. And it's not nothing. As you can see, I have 226 stamina, and that would be a lot less even if I didn't have that, and of course 300 health. Yeah, that's decent in my opinion, especially for such a low level ring that you find at the very start, and you can simply get it 2 times. Tip number 15, let's talk about the skills. Yeah, you simply should not specialize if you're a single player, and if you're a multiplayer, you should specialize if you're in single player, and you should not specialize if you're, I'm not getting it. Pick your role if you're a multiplayer. If you're not playing multiplayer, don't pick a role, pick everything. It's as simple as that. You can be a tank, you can be a healer, you can be a trickster, ranger, beastmaster. Ranger will likely do the most damage right now in the game, and of course like mages, wizards, battle mages. That might be the best damage right now because it's distance damage, and bow is super OP as stated before. Yeah, I think that's the best damage in the game you can get right now. So pick your role, and someone should be a tank. Someone should be at the front wielding his shield and using that. Like, shields can be super tough. I find it quite funny that you can use a shield and a staff. Or a wand. Tip number 16, how to level up fast. It's quite easy. Killing in the name of killing those monsters that will get you level ups. Like, that's the best way to level in my opinion, and there's almost no other way I found so far to gain XP. Like those low level mini mobs, of course they grant no XP, like 5 XP, but if you go into the miasma and kill or Enshrouded, kill those Enshrouded mobs, you will get a lot more experience. And as stated before, like those chests, they respawn, and even the loot respawns, and sometimes it's just trash in it, but sometimes it might be worth it to check out those chests again and again. But yeah, keep in mind, the best way to level is killing and grinding mobs in my opinion. The quests, they sometimes only give you like a fracture of killing 3 mobs or so in experience. Not worth it. Tip number 17, even though I trash talked the quests experience right now, I would recommend you guys to do quests, and especially one quest. That's a quest you get from the blacksmith, and he tells you, yep, you should go almost over there, and there you will find most likely a legendary sword, and that is super awesome at the start because upgrading your stuff grants new perks, and the better the quality of an item, the more you can upgrade it. So keep that in mind. If you do the side quests for the blacksmith. It can be worth it if you want to wield a sword. Otherwise, of course, you might focus on side quests of the huntress or the alchemist, which could reward you with certain weapons. Yep. That's it, 17 tips for your best start in Enshrouded. I hope I could help you guys out. And if you want to check out this Palworld tips and tricks video or the other one that will be recommended to you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you in the next video. Subscribe if you want to, and goodbye.